All right, guys, today we're going to talk about something I get yelled at about all the time and have to defend. Yesterday, it happened at one of the tournaments. We ended up getting a win like this in one of the kids' divisions. And it's sad that it's legal in the kids' division, to be honest with you, but I didn't make up the rules, okay? So we just play by the rule. We're talking about the Roadhouse choke, okay? It's known as a bunch of different non-PC names, but that's what we'll be calling it.
For those who don't know what we're talking about, basically, this is a choke where you put your hand on the person's throat, right? The thing that everyone is told from day one white belt, don't do this, it will never work. And I definitely remember being told at that stage that this is not good jujitsu, right? And again, this particular technique where you grab someone by the throat, it has a bunch of very uncool names that people use, which, like you mentioned earlier, I will not use those names, but I like the fact that you've renamed it here.
Let's go ahead and take a look at some examples. Like one of the guys, the main guy who made this popular in recent times, his name's Rob Baranacki. He's a head instructor and owner of Island Top Team over in Vancouver Island. He's got a pretty unique approach to jiu-jitsu that's very well thought out, logical, methodical. Relies a lot on science-based principles and mechanics, body mechanics. And I really like him. So he's got this website called bjjconcepts.net. If you enjoy this type of content and stuff, and if you enjoy this mindset, go check him out, okay, because I know I really like it. Let's get the show on the road. Rob's got an instructional on this Roadhouse choke, okay, that I purchased. And I'm not going to, put it on blast. If you like this, go ahead and purchase it, right? Support him. But I'm just going to show this. It's all fair use for educational purposes anyway, right? Just so we can, just kind of study it. And I'm not going to show the whole thing, but and give away all of his secrets. But check it out, guys.
I'm going to tell you straight. It's my way or the highway. People want to have a good time at an open mat. They aren't going to come to a meme factory. And we've got far too many Ezekiel choke from bottom mount merchants, buggy chokers, smothers, mother's milk. It ends now. I'm going to show you how to choke someone using just one hand. But I want you to be nice. People are going to feel like shit when you hit this on them. They're going to get salty. So I want you to be nice. If you show this to your buddy and you go to an open mat in another gym down the street, I want you to both be nice. I want you to be nice until it's time to not be nice, which is in competition. I thought you'd be bigger.
All right, so that's how he opens out the instructional. Okay, this funny little bit, but he's got a good point. Okay, so we're gonna learn this choke. You don't try and hurt somebody's trachea. Okay, but you just play by the rules, which we'll go over here in a second. And you use it on your training partners, and gym opponents nicely. But in the competition, man, go ahead and haul off. All right, so let's go over here down to why the Roadhouse choke.
All right, I want to talk a little bit about why we call this the Roadhouse choke, and is it a dick move, and how should you use it in training, and just a bunch of warnings, safety warnings. First of all, this is not based on the Jake Gyllenhaal, Conor McGregor movie.
No, the original.
The original Roadhouse with Patrick Swayze.
1989?
80, yeah, something like that. 89, maybe 87. Anyway, I had a couple visitors at my house last night. I had them watch it for the first time. They're like, holy fuck, this is awesome. It's so good. If you haven't seen it, please do. Because there are references, there's videos that I'm putting out that are, scenes from the movie that you will not appreciate at all if you haven't seen it. In the movie, Patrick Swayze rips a dude's throat out.
I love that part.
The dude whose throat he rips out is a guy who raped people in prison. Yeah. Really bad guy. So that's part of the reasoning behind the name is we're kind of trying to flip something that's been known in our community as the rape choke. And also to distinguish it from that. As we mentioned, that is kind of done with a straight arm. We want to emphasize that we're doing this with a bent elbow. There's a bunch of technical things that we're doing to make this more of a jiu-jitsu move and not just a thing that any fucking idiot, like we said, can do.
And it's a bit easier when you're talking to people or teaching a technique or like doing it at a club. It's like, what was that? It's a Roadhouse choke rather than.
Yeah. So like obviously there's like some of us don't give a shit about that name. Like we don't find it personally offensive in any way. We make jokes about it. Yeah. But there's a time and place.
Yeah.
And we want this to be really accessible to a lot of people. And we want to change the game with this shit. And we want to pay homage to Patrick Swayze. Rest in peace.
Yeah, guys. I think they touched on a good thing right here. Okay, like renaming this choke. There's like a million like names. I don't even like using them too much, but like hey, that's just me. If you want to call it whatever you want. I really don't even care. Just realize like other people are watching, and we want to be good representatives of the sport. But like you said, time and place. Okay, locker room talk is not always desirable, and family academy and whatnot. So Roadhouse choke, great name for the move. Now you kind of know why it's called the Roadhouse choke. Let's move on to, is it a dick move or not?
Is this a dick move?
No.
But like as with most things, it's context dependent. For instance, is an armbar a dick move? No. But what if, on your back, what if I were to armbar Rory like that? Well, then it's a dick move, right? Like, so the way that you apply anything can be a dick move. Dick moves come down to, does your opponent have, or your training partner particularly, have time to tap? Is it a reasonable movement to be doing on a training partner given the difference in size, strength, experience, etc., etc.? So for instance, is a heel hook a dick move? No. Is a advanced like competitor purple belt slamming a heel hook on a white belt that's been training for 2 weeks a dick move?
Absolutely.
Goddamn right it is. So there's a context where this move is totally valid. I would say, depending on the training partners that you have at your academy, if you're a 200-pound guy and you're going to do this on a 100-pound woman, that's a dick move. And not just in the context that we're talking about, where maybe somebody's got some trauma coming into a jiu-jitsu class that you don't know about that you're activating with this. More so just in the idea that there are appropriate training partners that will signal to you whether you're getting a false positive or not. And somebody who is far smaller than you is not able to give you the signal that this is a false positive in any way. You can do this, and it can be done totally wrong, and they'll still be like, oh, what the fuck? Right? So people around your size, certainly people less experienced than you, don't do it to brand new people. And I mean, this is, by the way, this is advice I would give to anybody for just about any movement. Like if you're a 250-pound black belt and you're just gooning, or generally you've got a little bit better judgment by this point. Wait, that's wrong. Black belts have terrible judgment and a lot of stuff. Yeah, if there's one thing the last little while is proven in jiu-jitsu, yeah. Just if you're much bigger, if you're a lot more experienced, not something you want to be doing to somebody.
And making sure you do the technique how Rob's been teaching you.
Yeah.
It's not squeezing.
Exactly.
It's leaning in. If someone gets mad if you do that correctly and they're like, you're not supposed to put your hand on my neck to choke you, then it's like, what are we doing?
What are we doing? Exactly.
I
Jiu-jitsu.
can choke you with my forearm. I can choke you with my bicep. I can choke you with my leg. But then a hand, that's the wrong thing.
Yeah. So like this, like we said,
100% right there, okay? If somebody can just put their hand on your throat and it's going to make you tap and quit, okay, your fucking jiu-jitsu sucks. You need to get better. You need to work on your arm bars. Plus, you need to train those, okay? Because like we often talk about how like jiu-jitsu is separated right now between sport and self-defense, okay? A lot of us are so sport-oriented that when somebody puts their hand on our neck, we have no idea what to do, okay? So if you need to practice that as a self-defense in a sports situation, and doing this in training is one of the only ways to simulate that.
There's no dick move about cutting off arteries. That's literally most of what we do in jiu-jitsu. right? Is we're trying to find ways of making the blood to your brain stop going there.
Why do we do this?
Yeah, this is a little bit different because there is the potential for you to do it in a way where, you know, it's just like if you're doing a wrist lock on someone and it becomes a thumb lock. Well, yeah, you're not allowed to do that. Don't do that. So it's the same shit here. Don't do it in a way that would be illegal in a tournament, and don't do it in a way where you're not able to recognize a false positive, where you're just working towards the technical beneficial way of doing it that you could use against people your size and experience. If you apply it that way, I don't think you're gonna have any problems.
All right, guys. So, like, my personal input is there's no such thing as dick moves, just dick speeds. You got to give somebody time to tap, okay? If you gave them ample time to tap and they didn't tap, right, it's all on them. He starts talking about the legalities of the choke here in the podcast, okay? BJJ mental models. What's really cool about this podcast is, one, they feature Rob, you know, every so often. And it's a very well thought out podcast. Since there's no video, it's all audio. So basically you're seeing how some of the top minds actually think about jiu-jitsu, okay?
You're not just trachea crushing. I'm assuming it's actually a legitimate air or blood choke, correct?
Yeah, so because if you're squeezing the trachea, so let's, before I talk about the details of how it can be made effective, let's just talk about the legality. As long as you are not actually squeezing, in every rule set, this is legal. So I had a friend of mine actually checked with Mo Jassim. It's definitely legal in ADCC. It's 100% legal in IBJJF because, over the last couple of weeks, there's been both the IBJJF No-Gi Grand Prix, which was won by Kanan Duarte, who did this a couple times, not to the extent of being able to choke someone out, but is flagrantly posting in this exact fashion on someone's throat. And then the other night, Nicholas Marigali did it in a match on the Fight Pass Invitational 6. So, I've got examples that I can show people. I've got, freeze frames that I can show people of folks using this as a post, as you discussed. So, like, the legality of it is, it's not disputable, this is an unfortunate thing that, like, people don't know this better because they're fairly experienced people. That when I first did this, when I first put out the YouTube video kind of breaking down what I did in the match, people were like, I thought this was illegal. I thought this was illegal. I thought this was legal. It's completely legal. It is allowed across the board in these rule sets as long as you're not squeezing your fingers around the windpipe. So hopefully that clarifies that part.
Well, between this and the taint sweep and the dick post, Rob, my favorite thing about you is pulling these gutter techniques out that everyone thought were illegal and actually finding the loophole that makes them legal, man. So thank you for your contribution to the sport.
Now that we know why it's called the Roadhouse, now that we know that it's legal, let's take a look of an example of it used here in a match.
Down. Who's going to win?
Ryan will likely utilize this to...
They're both pretty relaxed in this position.
Very much so.
Yeah. Both got game.
Rob has that
Kasoto hook.
Choking hand as well over the throat of Ryan.
Coyote guard on the lower body.
Yeah.
See if he can build up on this or what he looks to do from here. But he does not have an underhook, so it's going to be tough.
Tap, tap, tap.
Let's look at Rob, just kind of talk about it real quick.
Okay, quick breakdown of the move I hit at the battle grappling the other day. So we're in a half guard, and I had the Kimura, and I substituted the underhook here. Now, my opponent was trying to maintain, like I got to a knee cut position, he was trying to maintain this half guard, and he was basically using this arm a lot to block the leg. So I came in and got this grip, right? Which people tend to assume is like not finishable. But turns out. So at this point, I put my head down, I got some pressure, I kicked this through, and I used this knee to move his elbow, and then trap both arms. So all I'm doing, and like we'll have a full instructional on this position and how you can do it, like this choke and how you can do it from any number of positions. And then I'm just using gravity and a little bit of descending pressure, and the choke comes on. So again, I know this is like unorthodox and people tend to think that this is like a brute move that doesn't really work, but I've been playing with this for well over a year while training with just using one arm due to an elbow injury, and I've developed a lot of concepts, applications, systems around it. I was waiting till I hit it like in competition at the black belt level before I revealed it to the world. So yeah, coming soon from BJJconcepts.net, the Roadhouse choke.
Awesome. Okay, cool. Great breakdown. Hopefully this shed a little bit more light on the subject for you. Okay, so don't be like one of those guys if you see somebody do it to your teammate or whatever. Don't be going freaking out, yelling, this is illegal on every rule set like some fucking black belt did to me yesterday, okay? Don't get your panties in a bunch. This is legal. All right, over and out. Hopefully this shed a little bit more light on the subject for you. Okay, so don't be like one of those guys if you see somebody do it to your teammate or whatever. Don't be going freaking out, yelling, this is illegal on every rule set like some fucking black belt did to me yesterday, okay? Don't get your panties in a bunch. This is legal. All right, over and out.